We recommend that we retain the current permanent and professional and experienced secretariat at IEBC, and that Parliament should strengthen the legal frameworks governing the conduct of election and boundary. On boundary delimitation, we see that Turkana County, having the big land mass of 77,000 kilometers square, representing 13% of the Kenyan mass, needs to be delimited. This Turkana County is divided into 3 major grazing units: Turkana North, Turkana Central, Turkana South. And the 3 expansive territory sections and grazing units informs the rationale for Turkana County to be delimited into 3 counties, 12 constituencies, and 60 county wards assemblies. Turkana County landmass is much bigger than many of the counties that we have currently, which among them include Lamu, Meru, Nyamira, just to name a few. This massive land mass poses both logistical and administrative constraint for quick service delivery to the people of Kenya in that region. Additionally, Turkana County borders 3 international borders that require closer administrative units for effective and timely management of cross-border resource-based conflict. More importantly, Turkana County is endowed with a wealth of resources that, when well tapped, can support not only the new proposed electoral and administrative units, but the current and the future of the Kenyan economy, beside having the capacity to become a regional and commercial hub for Uganda, Southern Sudan, and Ethiopia. These key resources include, among others, livestock sector, oil and gas, groundwater resources, geothermal, solar and wind energy, mineral resources, and labor. The proposed counties are additional 2 counties to make it 3. And Turkana North has a population of 341,000, and Turkana Central 293, and Turkana South 292,000. And these are the maps which we have shown, and the counties which we have proposed. 2 additional counties, 6 more constituencies, and 30 more county assemblies, wards. We also recommend that the IBC to be maintained as in charge of both elections and boundary delimitation exercise as provided for in Article 88, Section 4. On audit of the presidential 2022 presidential election, TPA respects the institutional independence of Supreme Court and its exclusive jurisdiction to hear and determine dispute relating to election to the office of the president as provided for in Article 163. TPA shall respect the opinions of majority of Kenya in regards to audit of the 2022 presidential election. On issue 3, entrenching funds into the Constitution, TPA highly recommends entrenchment of the national government CDF into the Constitution to help Turkana benefit from the principal objects and purpose for which the fund was established under Section 3 of the National CDF Act number 30 of 2015. And so is the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, which also includes the Senate Oversight Fund. TPA recommends the entrenchment of all these funds into the Constitution. On issue 4, establishment and entrenchment of state offices, TPA supports the proposed constitutional amendment to establish and entrench the office of the leader of opposition. This will sort out the legal void created by the 2010 Constitution, which denied the second best presidential candidate in a general election a chance to play a role in the country's governance. TPA believes this will ensure and this will secure and protect the gains of the COK 2010, enhance checks and balances, and hold executive accountable, and address the recurrent post-election violence and entrench inclusivity in governance. On the issues of the office of the Cabinet Prime Minister, we also support the constitutional amendment to establish this office. Finally, on issue 5, on fidelity to political parties, TPA is of the opinion that is of strong opinion that we should be able to have a strong conviction to fidelity to the intents and purposes of political parties as presented by the Act, Political Parties Act 11/2021. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I can see, Honorable, it's the practice of this committee to allow some interventions from members. So I can see Honorable Wambilianga wants to speak to ask a question or speak to the issues.
Thank you, Chair. It's not exactly a question, but it's kind of an intervention and clarity. In your presentation, thank you very much, first of all, for your very elaborate presentation. And for the first time, at least, we have had a slide being used in these presentations. Congratulations to your team. My observation, or rather question, goes to the point you put across, saying that among your recommendations that the Turkana people should not be vetted when getting IDs or passports. Bearing in mind that Turkana is one of the counties that is on the border, don't you think we will risk a lot of foreigners, mainly from Uganda and other neighboring countries, infiltrating through Kenya and purporting to be Turkanas just because we have allowed such a thing to go on? And secondly,
just as a point of information, Honorable Wambilianga, there is already progressive steps which are very advanced to remove all forms of vetting for all Kenyans, the Turkanas, the Somalis, and all other border communities and minorities.
Okay, I'm guided. And again, maybe give us a formula, because we have had a lot of counties, stakeholders from different counties coming here, and the proposals are actually to increase counties and even increase constituencies. But for Turkana, it's a bit, there seems to be a lot of interest because you're talking of 6 more constituencies. Did I get that clearly?
Yes.
And then also 2 counties. Is it 2 counties including the current Turkana county, then another additional one, or 2 more?
2 additional.
2 more additional counties.
To make it 3.
To make it 3.
Very
Maybe you give us a formula of which, how you have arrived at this, because all the rest seem to be just wanting maybe the split of a county into 2, then maybe for MPs, for the constituencies, at least they're talking of maybe 1 or 2 in addition. But this is rather too advanced a number. Thank you.
Okay, let me just first of all, thank you very much. This team, I feel challenged. Maybe I should also start working on CIA or Luo Professional Association to rival you or to emulate what the good work we are doing. But let me go to the point. This presentation is wonderful, and it brings out very, very salient matters, especially on the issue of Article 43, or alleviating cost of living. Because understand, I must also confess that as a movement, we have had a long standing relationship with the Turkana county and people. The issue of climate change has been captured very well, which is causing havoc to the pastoral communities. You know the case we have currently of Turkana brothers who are arrested in Uganda, are currently languishing in jail in Jinja. I think Jinja, yeah. It's a matter we are pursuing. But also the issue of infrastructure, especially at Nadapal, the issue of the road infrastructure. Okay? They have come out very well, and I hope in the fullness of time this needs to be addressed, not only for the Turkana, but for the vast majority of the pastoralist communities. But then, on the issue of the audit of the last year's presidential elections, you have said very well that you agree, of course, you stand by the guidance of you stand by the ruling of the Supreme Court, which is true. But then you go ahead and say that you will abide by the decision or the views of the majority of Kenyans. That's where I got confused. If you could just clarify that, Professor. Finally, on the issue of the proposed subdivision of the constituencies, my view is that, my view is that this is merited. And the chair to listen to me, the leader. Yes, Turkana County is vast, and indeed it merits more constituencies. Yes, it merits more constituencies, and it's a matter, I think, which I'll be looking at in tandem with the rest of our work, okay? Because there are similar requests from other peoples, but this is very, very good, and we shall really benefit from this presentation. Thank you. Beatrice.
Yes. Just a minute. Let's listen to
Yes.
Yes, Beatrice, the school. Why don't we just let everybody ask their questions or comments? Yes.
I also join my colleagues in appreciating your detailed memorandum that speaks to most of the issues that this committee is trying to look into. Now, you know, you professionals, I'm sure you have accountants, you have lawyers, you have all manner of professionals. And I've seen what you have, what you call recommendations on high cost of living. You know, to alleviate the high cost of living, we recommend the following. There has been an outcry by Kenyans that the rate at which the current